So, hey guys, this is David, and I don't exactly know where this fits in. I guess it fits into the mindset section, but I want to take some of this hack Hollywood stuff to another level, a more intense, focused level, because I don't want it to be said that I got complacent with this material and that I'm only going to introduce you to material that I have actually used myself, because as far as acting goes, I could probably say that I have become somewhat complacent lately. I've gotten involved, in this project, and things started to come a little too easy for a while for me. So I need to get back some of my focus and intensity. But I've sort of created what I now know is a working system for an actor, because I made it work for myself. And I have to say, this is something I haven't addressed yet. And I just want to read you a little quote. This is from the biography of Steve Jobs. And there's a lot to be learned from a guy like Steve Jobs. A lot of people will say, oh, I'm not interested in him or his book or anything because, I've heard he was a total asshole and he didn't treat people with respect, and, he was difficult and he bullied people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you know what? That is always going to be the case with brilliant people. When you are a brilliant, intense, focused person, and yet you're surrounded by people who kind of just want to have a good time, they just can't wait for the day to be over so they can, hit the couch and drink some beers. Well, think of it. That's sort of like an adult living in a world full of children. And that's where people like Steve Jobs and James Cameron and Robert De Niro, anyone who's got not only an amazing pool of talent inside of them, but also have the drive to match. And that's a rare quality. We've all played sports and been to school with people who had an incredible amount of innate talent, and you just hated them for how talented they were and how hard you had to work, and you came nowhere near what they were doing. But most of those people never make use of their talent, okay? All that it is and all that it becomes is just basically schoolyard rumors, okay? Those people had it easy. And so, so the rest of us had to work hard. But most of those people didn't have the drive to match. And that's what separates people like Jobs and Gates and James Cameron, etc., from everyone else. And even if we don't like them as people because they conduct themselves in a far more efficient and intense manner, and we couldn't hang out with them because we couldn't hang at their level, they are definitely people we want to study, because it helps you realize what it actually takes to succeed in anything. Okay, and that's what I always want to address, is that success in acting is the same as success in anything. It takes a lot of work, and it takes intensity, and it takes focus. And sometimes it's not about being nice. Being good comes ahead of being nice. There's no nice when you're doing your job, okay? You're doing your job. And if someone else somehow is inconvenienced by it because they wanted to spend some time with you or whatever, then they need to either respect that, or you need to find other friends, or you need to make it clear to them what you're trying to accomplish. So, okay, let's read this little quote here. I'm going to read a whole paragraph. Jobs' engagement with Eastern spirituality, and especially Zen Buddhism, was not just some passing fancy or youthful dabbling. He embraced it with his typical intensity, and it became deeply ingrained in his personality. Steve is very much Zen, said Kotke. It was a deep influence. You see it in his whole approach of stark, minimalist aesthetics, intense focus. Jobs also became deeply influenced by the emphasis that Buddhism places on intuition. Now, this is where I want you to pay close attention, all right? I began to realize that an intuitive understanding and consciousness was more significant than abstract thinking and intellectual logical analysis, he later said. His intensity, however, made it difficult for him to achieve inner peace. His Zen awareness was not accompanied by an excess of calm, peace of mind, or interpersonal mellowness. So, guys, the point that I'm trying to make there, that line that really sort of blew my mind, was that intuitive understanding and consciousness, you know what that is? That's common sense, okay? It makes me happy and angry at the same time when I read that. Here's a guy who's one of the most successful people in our generation in terms of, changing the way millions and millions of people think and their behavior. Intuitive, meaning you have it. Understanding, you know it. And consciousness, meaning it's what you know, okay? Not what you're trying to figure out, was more significant than abstract thinking and intellectual logical analysis. Basically meaning things that seem to make sense. Okay, so this is so huge, okay? Not only for your life, well, not only for your acting, but for your life. We all have almost all of the tools given to us to make it through life from the day we're born. Just like butterflies somehow know how to fly from Canada to Mexico without having anyone to help them, we know how to do pretty much everything. It's within us. Okay, and we know what's right and we know what's wrong. It's all within us, okay? If you want to say it's God-given, fine, it's God-given. And the problem we run into is we listen to other people, okay, who are doing things or telling us to do things in a certain manner, and they may sound logical, which is what he's saying, but logic doesn't beat common sense, okay? We know how people operate because we are people. And so when you're interacting with others, behave as though you would want them to behave towards you. And again, it's that whole, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you were a casting director, figure out how would you want actors to get in touch with you. I'm not giving you the answers here. I'm just asking the questions, okay, guys, because you have the answers within you. If you're a producer, how do you find new actors? How would you want to find new actors? What do you think is the best way to find new actors? Is it the process that exists now? Or maybe is there some more efficient way that you would love to meet new actors, but they aren't finding you that way? Director